So someone was asking about wiring on the Viessmann. So I thought I'd pick a not too complicated one. So we've got two mixed circuits, an unmixed circuit, no secondary circulation pump for hot water, and the hot water cylinder is upstream of the plate heat exchangers. So I've got two mixer drivers, two mixer motors, two sensors, cylinder sensor, pump. So I keep talking about how easy this is, and the thing that makes this easy is pretty much comes with color coded plugs. So if you have a look in here, if it's an orange plug, it goes in an orange socket. If it's a purple plug, it goes in a purple socket. And most of the parts you buy come with the sockets already on. So these temperature sensors, these sockets are already on the end when you buy it. Same with the data cable. This is mains cable, so for the an outlet cable for the pump. So as soon as we supply the external pumps, we put the white plug on the pump and we plug it in. And this is the driver plug for the mixer motor. And again, because we supply that, we have to screw this plug onto there. The green plugs come provided with the green cover on them, and the blue ones are an optional extra for piggybacking them. So to give you an idea of what goes on here, we'll start from these outwards. Basically, you would wire your pump and your mixer into the corresponding, now this happens to be in this one, so that pump is wired into the white socket and the mixer is wired into the black socket, and we've put those on. Here we've got the mains coming in. This is coming in from the boiler. When you switch the boiler off, it turns off all the power and things. This is pre-wired. This comes on the plug. And this is an outlet plug, so this is an additional, but this supply plug came with the plug on it, and all that's doing is going down there and back up there, piggybacking the power. Oh, excuse me, piggybacking the power. So basically got power in from the boiler, then we've got power out, power coming into this unit, because there's not a third one. So if there was a third mixer, we would power out of this plug. The data cable does the same, it daisy chains, so it goes down in here, comes back up here and into this plug, and then it comes out of here and goes in the same color plug if it's on the board, or in this case we've got a data terminal plug underneath the boiler. What else is on here? Yeah, so we've got the daisy chain data plugs in the purple, the temperature sensors. So these temperature sensors, we've got two of those, and they correspond with the temperature sensors for each of the mixers. So in this case, this mixer has this temperature sensor and it's wired to here, and that temperature sensor goes in the number one slot. Is it number one? I can't remember. Yeah, number one, T1, this one here. Now, if you've got a low loss header sensor, this is a common flow temperature sensor, which is this one here, which you need to have if you've got hydraulic separation. That one goes into T3, and T3, I don't know if this is the case, but I've just assumed it is, and it's worked for me all the time. There's a little selector switch up here, so you decide which one of these is going to be number one, which one is going to be number two, which one is going to be number three, so the boiler can identify it. And I always put this plug for my common flow sensor in the driver that I've selected as the number one driver. So set out to one, that's two, and that's my common flow sensor. That's the flow sensor for that circuit. Okay, and in the boiler, it's much of the same. Let's get something to stand on. So inside here, we have pre-wired the main supply socket. This is a power takeoff to a little computer board inside here that's pre-wired. This socket I've wired in. This is the power takeoff, and that's the one that goes down into that green socket there. So the green socket was already on the wire, and I just plugged it into the blue takeoff socket. This one here is my power. Yeah, there's a P1 and a P2, and these change function according to what you're doing. So this little bit complicated here, but basically external pumps. So P1 will drive my secondary circuit pump unless I fit a secondary circulation domestic hot water pump, in which case the P2 becomes the one that drives my my unmixed circuit pump through, my unmixed circuit, not my secondary circulation pump, sorry. So for some reason it shifts along. I don't really understand why. It seems a bit daft, but so if there's only one driving one, it goes in P1. If it's driving two items, this becomes a domestic hot water secondary circulation pump plug, and we move this plug basically across to P2. These are both white plugs, and they both come supplied with the board. This side has the data plugs. That would be the purple data plug that links across. So daisy chains across from there. I'll tell you a little bit more about this because there's a second option underneath the boiler. And in here we have a plug for the outside sensor for the weather compensation and my cylinder sensor. So in the cylinder down there I have a cylinder temperature sensor, and that connects into here. And the Vitodens protocol for this is that terminals 1 and 2 are for the weather comp sensor, terminals 2 and 3 are for the what are they for? It's weather comp, cylinder sensor, sorry. So 1 and 2 is weather comp, 3 and 4 is for the cylinder sensor, and 4 and 5 is the data, or in this case a purple plug. The reason I use those numbers is if we look over here, there's a link block here with numbers 1 to 6, and that carries through the chassis of the boiler onto the base here. So this is all low voltage signalling cable, so it doesn't have to be protected. So we've got it under here on this plug. So terminals 1 and 2 weather comp, 3 and 4 cylinder sensor, 5 and 6 for the data. You can take them in, put them in the board if you want to, or you can use that data plug. The main supply for the boiler here on the white plug, which comes pre-wired, is actually running down, and it goes into the fused switch spare. Now, for most systems, you can run everything off a 3 amp fuse there, and that'll run quite nicely. But it does say in the instructions that if you're using multiple controls, that you should actually have a separate fuse and supply these units direct from the separate fuse, or a higher rated fuse, and supply them from a higher rated fuse. So I've not had to do that yet, so that's it. So I'll be doing another video later about the hydronics on this one, but that's for the wiring system. So whoever it was that asked me about wiring up Vitodens, I hope that helps.